How you doing?
I'm good. You got to put pressure on these people to like crank out that season three, right? Like we can't go another couple of years. Everybody's falling in the hole. There's all kinds of things are happening. So, like, we gotta like get this out quickly.
I have very little power in that regard.
Yo, welcome to My Summer Lair. I'm your host, Sammy. I dig myself into deep dark holes like it's a full-time job. Younan. Tamara Podemski plays Joy Hawk, a main character on Prime Video's neo-western mystery time travel thriller Outer Range. I spoke to her before season 1 in 2022. I think it was 2022. And as media, I'd only seen a couple episodes, so I was talking to her before season 1 was out and fully consumed. Still, we had a great conversation about Sheriff Joy Hawk and the responsibilities she's dealing with as law enforcement, as a mom, and as a wife, all coupled with the baggage of her indigenous culture and identity. Outer Range is set in Wabang, Wyoming, and the townsfolk there, they don't take kindly to Joy Hawk as the sheriff, and they really don't like, well, at least some of them, really don't like Joy Hawk, who is from their point of view, an Indian. That was season 1. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on, like Josh Brolin, who plays Royal Abbott. He's a Wyoming cattle rancher who confronts a large cosmic anomaly on his land. Oh boy. But yeah, that was season 1. So for season 2, Tamara and I get into spoilers. I'm talking to her after the second season has been released on Prime Video. We speak more freely and we can unpack Joy Hawk's literal hero's journey, time traveling to 1882. This time period intersects with her cultural, indigenous heritage. Imagine connecting with a tribe, your tribe, in 1882, her people, her culture. All of it. All while knowing how this story is going to turn out. And there's nothing you can do about it. If I was Gwen Stefani, I'd say Outer Range Season 2 is bananas. The whole is back, there's more time travel, the warring families are emotionally chaotic and lashing out, and I'm stuck with the same issue after watching Season 1, how to effectively describe this quirky TV show. It truly lives up to the name Outer Range. It's way out there, like just like when we talk about outer space, way out there. While there's a lot of drama unfolding, I don't want to start there. And to avoid any spoilers, go watch season 2 first. Now then, if you've done your nerd homework, I figure the easiest place to start with Tamara is to talk about all the John Wick action she gets to do. Pow! Clearly that was so much fun, and obviously necessary. That's the thing with time traveling. The further back you go, the more dangerous it gets. As such, Stephanie, can you safely set up this episode?
Sound, the final frontier. My Summer Lair is an enterprise, a pop culture voyage with a continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new creators and celebrate established producers, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. And now here is your host, Sammy Younan.
If you're ready to go, we can somehow unpack season 2 of Outer Range. Although I feel like your TV show wife, Martha, I'm not sure that you can kind of convey to me all that you've seen and what's happened in this second season.
I mean, it's so huge on so many levels. So I mean, maybe we start little and detailed and go in with very specific
Yeah.
I questions because I'm still reeling. I'm still reeling from all of it.
I can imagine, yeah, and I've seen already a lot of posts trying to decipher the last episode of season 2, episode 7, and what it means, and who was in the hole, and all these kind of things. But a good place to start, actually, is for you. Outer Range season 2 was Sheriff Joy's like John Wick season. You were like getting to Western gunfights, and you're like riding horses, and you're shooting tires in the front of a pickup truck. Like, I'm sure as an actor, you're enjoying all the meaty drama, and there's a lot of that there. But how fun is all this action?
Yeah, so I love the drama. I might love the action more. I put in a very special request at the beginning of season 2. I just want to fight more. I want to ride more. I want Sheriff Joy to be the badass that she really is. And, I think also just whatever my career has offered me, I never get to be the action hero.
Mm-hmm.
I love more than it's up there. I was going to say more than anything in the world, but it's definitely up there. And the stunt team,
Mm-hmm.
outer range, they're a legendary stunt family in New Mexico and California. And I just said, let me show you, like, let me rehearse. I will do everything you tell me to do, but let me just see, because my stunt double was right there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on standby, but I was just like, can I just try? Can I just, so that for sure, season 2, that was one of the best parts of it, as all the stunts and horse riding.
Yeah, because when season 1 started, when people are trying to describe the show, it's like they use words like Western, frontier, those kind of things. And so you have those connotations of like gunfight at the OK Corral or something, right?
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah,
Sheriff Joy really in season 2 is fulfilling a lot of that frontier Western like
yeah,
mentality, right? Like,
yeah. And we have to, like, we know, I mean, we certainly, it appeals to so many different kinds of audiences, but there are people who just love that genre, and you do need to deliver. So even though it's not, every episode,
mhm.
you do your classic genre, Western genre bits that people really, they love seeing. They're beautiful to make, they're beautiful to look at, and they always just like take your breath away. So we have to give them some of that.
And so tell me if this is a little deal or big deal or no deal. Season 1, episode 7. Sheriff Joy goes to the Tillerson family and she's giving them an update on the murder investigation. One of their kids has got murdered. And so she says to them, I promise you, I will get to the bottom of all of it. And this is the line that stood out to me. I keep telling you I'm doing my best. I keep telling you I'm doing my best. And then season 2, episode 7, Cecilia Abbott says to her, to Sheriff Joy, you did the best you could. So is this a coincidence? Like, does Sheriff Joy feel like she's doing her best, or is she letting everyone down? Like, it's a lot that she's kind of absorbing and juggling.
I think it's an impossible feat. I think, as a law enforcement officer, she took that oath, to serve and protect. And I think even with her background, which is specific to a community that suffers from injustice since, the beginning of, when people came to the West, there's something deep in her bones that she wants to, fight the good fight and bring justice. I think the track that she ends up taking it's not as black and white. I think she really believed in good and bad. I think
Mm-hmm.
she really, she tried to keep it that it was quite polarized in her vision, which it does have to be in the law, whether it's right or wrong, good or bad, they have to be that definitive. And what she learns is there's actually a massive gray area in between.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's going to serve the law,
Mm-hmm.
that's not actually going to always end up to, the best person wins. And so I do believe she is always working at the best of her ability, and the best, within the confines of her job. But she's certainly pushing the boundaries of what is allowed. And for her to bring ultimate justice to all those who deserve it, it can't really happen in the confines of the law.
Yeah, in terms of like pushing her actual boundaries, is like by following this, like, I guess, a black river of time, Sheriff Joy
Yeah.
literally goes on a hero's journey. Like, so how was your experience time traveling? Like, does it tickle? Like, does it give you an upset tummy? Like when you eat too much Taco Bell? Like, how was that experience to like go back in time?
Well, I love that she traveled in a different way than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just really expand people's ideas of how you can do it. It doesn't have to be the whole. I also love, because she followed a path, of the mineral. Um, for me, it allowed her to even more have a higher guidance system, which she really needed so badly at that time. Like
Mm-hmm.
whatever decisions she was making were not leading her in the best direction. And then there is this this way that I really think the whole or the mineral presents itself to people at the right time when they need it. You cannot beckon it. It will present itself when you are ready for that journey. And so she needed a little bit more. It couldn't just be, here's a whole jump in. She needed a little bit more kind of curious pull to be drawn in that direction.
But when you're talking about Sheriff Joy struggling with like finding there's a gray area and that the law is no longer black and white, the experience that she has going to like time traveling to 1882, it also leaves her with like this kind of murky past, because the past has always been set, right? Like it's set in stone. The idea has always been that you can change the future, so you can change certain things in the past or whatever it may be. But now she's kind of in the same thing where like how does she navigate dealing with a past that she's seen up close now?
I think it's quite crippling for her, because there is no way to prevent what's about to happen to her people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was quite an emotional thing for many of us. You know, we had 80 plus Indigenous background performers, many of them who, you know, that was their land, their ancestors are from there. We dealt with some weather that was so obviously, you know, the spirit world was around us in full force. I think we were like the weight of what that would mean if you could go back and tell your people to make a different decision, or to do, you know, to not enter into treaties, to not do this. But like, what were the other options? Like, it's too much to even wrap her head around. So she actually goes internal instead. She tries to not have anything to do with those negotiations with the settlers. She does everything she can to resist those larger that larger responsibility of she cannot save her people. That's why that just wasn't a, you know, there's small little things you can do, but she went quite kind of personal, and specific to her world. And I think, you know, when she finally rises to that call of action, that is the most she could do, in still knowing that there's an outcome that is unavoidable. Might be able, this small community, we might be able to clear them when their camp is raided. But what are you going to do? Go to every camp, every settlement? Like, it's beyond us of what would be possible.
Yeah, it gives her like a time traveler PTSD, right? Where
Absolutely.
right, she's struggling now. When she gets back to the present, she can't quite cope, because it's not just the idea of time traveling, but like you said, like she knows what's going to happen to her people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing also to happen to someone, to a character like Joy, which is different because everyone has a different response when they go in and come out of the hole. But with Joy, because her mission is to, you know, bring justice, to correct wrongs, all she's can actually do is maybe, and I think you start to see this planned in her mind. How can you correct now in modern day? But even that is a messed up thought, because these people are so far removed from what their forefathers did. They're the ones who own the town. You know, she's looking at targets, connecting them so directly to who their grandparents were, and she wants to take it out on them. It's a very complex, confusing, and we see this happen all over the world. You know, it's like, how responsible are we for what our ancestors did, you know, or even just our parents, our grandparents? You know, you don't have to go back that many generations anywhere in the world to know that you're connected to so much war and injustice.
Yeah, I mean, we keep circling back to the idea of reparations, right? For like Black people, for example,
Exactly.
as a similar experience. But it's just like the more we keep discussing it, it keeps going past generation, right?
And you're in a circle. And then, you know, I think we have this feeling and this sense of like a vigilante is
Mm-hmm.
being, born, is bubbling inside her. And a vigilante is not a law enforcement officer. So it makes for a very cool paradox of character.
Were you involved at all in the decision of when to send Joy? Once they decided that they were obviously going to like send her
Nope,
back in time,
nope, nope, nope,
so you just
nothing.
got to show up and then have this amazing adventure as an actor.
Yeah, I mean, we knew from season one, and we do have to credit, so much was planted in season one for Joy's story. We knew because of the buffalo. We knew the buffalo had come out in the end of episode 8 of season one,
Mm-hmm.
and the buffalo with the two arrows. So we always knew that those two arrows had to be from a time. So this buffalo had to be from a time when arrows were still being used to hunt buffalo.
Mm-hmm. Right.
For all the historians,
Yeah.
we knew we were in that time. But the other thing, and this was very specific kind of cultural historians that we were working on the set design, when we see the first village and she sees, no, sorry, she doesn't see this. I don't think she sees the village in the end of season one. Does she see teepees in the end of season one? Oh my gosh, I don't even know this.
I'm trying to remember. Okay, just I can't remember if it was beginning of season one or season two. But I get what you're saying. Like when she starts to see the camera and she takes the photos, right? That scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think that might just be season two, but we knew for sure that it was the late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
So that part I had no say in. I just knew that when she traveled back, because we're looking at the last time thousands of buffalo were still herding across the West, that kind of put us into a very specific time frame.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I find that was kind of interesting is like Sheriff Joy is like, in terms of science fiction, a pioneer in a sense, because generally time travelers are white males because they can go back in time and they can kind of fit into any era, right? Like obviously black people can go to a certain point. Women even sometimes can go like as you get it deeper into like the 1900s, like early 1900s and stuff like that. You lose certain
Yeah, like
rights.
most people don't want to go back.
Yeah. But
Yes,
like
I hear you.
you don't generally get a lot of like indigenous time travelers in science fiction, right? In like mainstream science fiction.
Well,
So
certainly not in mainstream science fiction, but in
yeah,
some of our stories,
that's what I'm getting
we
at. Yeah.
have, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it was really important to plant. I had pitched that line in episode Joy is in the hospital bed. She's having the one-to-one with
Royal.
Royal.
Yeah. I think that's
And it was very important that Joy isn't asking a white man, what does the whole mean to you?
mm-hmm.
I said, Joy knows the stories from her own people. Like we have old stories of interdimensional travel. So is there a way that she can be grappling with her own understanding from a cultural perspective of what those stories? So we planted that line, and I'm so grateful that that got in, so that it's not like look to this guy to explain time travel when it's actually been going on forever in our stories, but we just haven't seen that represented in sci-fi mainstream media.
Yeah, and that's why I
Mainstream.
found kind of interesting because Royal, for the most part, who's played by Josh Brolin, he's kind of like on the back foot. Like he doesn't know anything that's really going on, right? Autumn's got more ideas, and she's giving him stuff, and like you've got like ancient stories. Like everyone's kind of giving him stuff, and he's like, I don't know, I just fell in the hole. Like he's got a very simple story.
Well, it's quite interesting because, and I think this is like life, right? Like you can have the same situation happen to many different people, and it could either be the transformative, experience, or you shut down completely, or you deny it, or however you respond to that incident will determine how big or small your life gets from there. And we know that for him, and that's part of the wisdom that he's trying to impart to Joy, is you cannot bottle it up. You cannot talk about it. His life is the result of denying all of it. And Autumn's is the result of curiosity of what the hell is it? Joy's is the responsibility of what to do with it. There is a reason this happened, and now I must do something. It sets her on her new mission.
she even says to Royal, nothing can stop the future.
Yeah.
We talked about how like when you travel back in time and you know what's going to happen to your tribe and to your people, right? You know what's coming and it's unfortunate. But then is there like I guess a hope for the future that it's malleable? That after all this experience and everything.
I was interpreting it more as like, you know, like to the front lines, because we know it's inevitable and because we know how ugly it can get and will get. It's like all hands on deck, it's arm up.
Mm-hmm. And do you view then like just to go circle back to the multiverse thing? Do you view this like does Sheriff Joy view this through that multi-lens verse, or is it just a simple like time travel back in time and then that's it? Like, are there multiple like holes and multiple royals in a sense?
Um, I never got too caught up with that. I do know I was always trying to, redirect it back to an indigenous lens of how she would understand the purpose of it. And because of generational trauma, which is just, she's seeing it also. You see in the police station, in the sheriff's station, you see the posters of murdered and missing Indigenous women. She's well aware of kind of the crisis of, of her people and the how badly she is needed at this moment in time. I think for her, it's like there's no more, I don't know, there's no more dicking around. Like, there's no more, like it is full warrior, like calling for duty, like reporting for duty. That's what I feel. It's like the stakes of everything has just been, increased. And that's understanding the kind of magnitude of what it is, that it's all these things living, breathing at once. I think there is like a just a continuum and pressure cooker, that if all these timelines, and I do think there is, when we think, especially when you think of the energetic power of spiritual consciousness around you that is still carrying everything that came before us, the intensity of everything just increases, and it's like there's just no more passive living.
Mm-hmm.
Show up, and be ready for all of it.
Yeah, like there's a scene where Sheriff Joy, she was sleeping outside and she wakes up and there's a number of animals just kind of like just a few feet away from her, like a buffalo, like a wolf, like 3 or 4 different animals, right? And it's
Yeah,
like you said, like there's a odd pressure on her now to like there's like all these symbols and things kind of keep coming at her, and
yeah,
like they're all dare to be great situations, all right? And
yeah,
she's got to like step up to the plate.
yeah. I mean, this has never been discussed with the writers, or even like with any of the, creative people in Outer Range. But I was left with a feeling of, with everything, how changed she is, with the transformation that she undergoes. I don't know how she can continue being a sheriff. I don't know how, everything in season one was these aspirations to exist in that world, to be respected by that community,
Mm-hmm.
and to become sheriff. Like, I don't know how that how that becomes any how that can still be her goal after everything she's lived. And I'm not saying this is not a spoil. Like, this is nothing
Yeah, yeah.
has. It's just like in my head of like, with these amount of messages,
Mm-hmm.
with kind of, these higher guidance systems kind of closing in on her to direct her on whatever righteous path of a warrior. I don't know how she could do that as a sheriff.
So then continue that thread, because then she's not just a chef, she's also like a mom and a wife as well, right? She has her own little mini tribe that she's trying
Yeah,
to protect
yeah.
as well. So how does that kind of that same kind of pressure, if she can't be a sheriff anymore or has to take the law into her own hands or whatever vigilante justice as you were saying, how does that impact like being a wife and a mother?
I, I I know that it has only increased her ferocity of protection.
Mama
And
bear.
that's Mama Bear. She is in full Mama Bear, but she's also, there's like tactical parts where she's looking at like, who are my allies? Who can I? And in the strangest way, she finds, her and Royal, or like Royal is her closest ally. I've spoken about it in a few interviews, and I always like try to avoid saying like they're friends. I don't know if they're ever going to be friends, but they are. I do feel like at the end of season two, they are each other's closest ally.
They have brokenness in common because of the experience, the time travel experience they went through, right?
Yeah.
This is not the same at all, but like, when you travel and you go to like Paris, for example, and you eat a lot of cheese and baguettes and you see people
Yeah.
and you see the Eiffel Tower and you come back and you try to explain to your friends who are just living 9 to 5
Yeah.
lives what those 2 3 weeks were
Exactly.
like, and you can't. But if you
No,
meet somebody else who's been to Paris, I'm like, oh, I like baguettes too, and then off you go, right?
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So basically, Royal and Joy have eaten a lot of cheese together.
There you go. That was the spoiler I was looking for. Something forward to look forward to season 3.
Yeah.
And in terms of just as we're wrapping up, like people are like from what you're getting back in terms of the feedback, people are enjoying the mystery and like with the arc of Joy and seeing her hang out with the tribe in 1882 and it's a lot of fun. People are digging it.
Yeah, it's been wild. I think as you said, there's a lot of space between when we put the show out and how long it takes before the world gets to see it. And in that time, there's kind of a safe distancing that I try to do so that you don't get too, attached,
Mm-hmm.
and you also move on with your other projects in your life and everything like that. And so I think I was at a safe, healthy distance from when it came out last week so that I wasn't, I wasn't getting too wrapped up in the reviews. But then, people send you things, and I'm overwhelmed and overjoyed by the response that people have had to season two, and to Joy's journey. Mostly I'm so grateful to Prime Video, to Amazon, and to our showrunner Charles Murray, who who kind of imagined the world, even like to expand it this much. It's a pretty complex world. I'm also just
That's why I'm
hugely grateful.
asking. Yeah, because it's like
Oh yeah.
there's not a lot of stuff like this on TV, right? So it's like, and when
No, and
people
it asks. Oh, sorry.
no,
Yeah.
no, I was just saying, like, when people try to explain it, it always kind of falls short, right? It's like a Western. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
like Yellowstone. I'm like, no, no, not like Yellowstone. There's a hole in the
I
ground,
know.
right?
And for that reason, I'm so grateful also to our audiences who show up on like such a high mental level to be able to make sense of it. I love it because I'm sitting while watching it with my husband, our son, my mom. We have all these different generations, and all of us see different things. We actually need all four brains, year old, middle-aged brains, and then
Yeah.
elder brains to piece it all together. But it's good. I mean, so if you can watch it with more brains, you might get a fuller picture of what's actually going on.
That should be a marketing tagline for season 3.
Yeah,
And just one last
family.
question. You just recently got hired for Murderbot, an Apple TV series.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say anything about that, or is it still too early, or like?
I'm allowed to say that I met Martha Wells. Martha
Ooh.
Wells came to set. So Martha Wells is the author, celebrated award-winning sci-fi writer. I'm on book 6 now of the Murderbot Diaries. Like,
Mhm.
it is an incredible, fascinating, beautiful, really, like I love the world so much. I've never been in, even though Outer Ranges, people call it sci-fi. It's not like outer space sci-fi. This
Mhm.
is my first real sci-fi genre film, TV show. I'm in love with it. I love everyone in it. We have an incredible group of actors, and Chris and Paul Weitz are, the show's creators. They are a gift to storytelling, and it's been an incredible experience.
Okay.
I cannot wait to talk with you again about that one
Okay, yeah. We'll book another time. Yeah. I'm in
in
with
a
the
year.
sci-fi. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
always in with the sci-fi. So anytime you could like time travel or go to space or do anything like that, I'm always in. So I appreciate it.
right
Yeah.
on.
But thank you so much for like hanging out, trying to unpack Outer Range season 2. There was a ton of stuff going on and like we even did like half of it. So
No, it's because it's its own hole. You can just go
Yeah.
in and there's no bottom to it. But thank you so much for being such an enthusiastic viewer and supporter of the show.
No, for sure. Give everybody a high five and a man hug when you see them for like season 3. Like they did a good job with season 2, right? So stakes are getting higher, as you said.
Yeah, stakes are getting higher, holes getting deeper.
Yeah.
Let's see where it goes.
Yo, that's Tamara, who plays Joy Hawk on Prime Video's Outer Range, and I'm Sammy, host of My Summer Lair. Both seasons of Outer Range are out now, and you could set the VCR, and you could stream and enjoy and come up with your own complex series. There's a lot floating around online. You know, I forgot what episode it is, but it's early in the second season, and there's a special moment. It has nothing to do with the main plot. You know how The Simpsons will have like a random joke in the background and has like nothing to do with anything? All through season 1, Tamara, as Joy Hawk, like, she's found ways to represent her culture. Like, for example, you can see a braid of sweet grass dangling from her police car mirror. She's loyal to her culture, to her tribe, and to her people. It's who she is. It's why she deals with racism, because it's an efficient way to attack her. In season 2, when she finds herself in 1882, her tribe, her people, give her a horse to ride. She's clearly weird. Time travelers are like the Breakfast Club characters. They don't fit in or belong anywhere, but the tribe has seen enough that, okay, sure, yeah, she's accepted, she's fine. So they give Joy Hawk a horse to ride. This is in 1882. And this is the moment. It's just a tiny moment. It has nothing to do with the main plot, but it's a great moment. Sheriff Joy Hawk can't get up on the horse. She sucks at it. She's from our time. She has a police SUV. She drives a car. Why would she know how to ride a horse? All through season 1, Joy Hawk experienced racism and she pushed back, clinging to her indigenous culture, and she can't even get up on a horse. Who's indigenous who can't ride a horse? That's like the entire symbol. That's one of the first things most of us think about or see. She struggles so much getting up on that horse. And I said, it's a short scene. It's funny, but it conveys so much. There's an odd universal experience we don't really talk about. As children of immigrants, you grow up in Canada or you grow up in the United States, you eat certain ethnic foods. You know those stinky ethnic foods that make your jacket smell for a week. You learn the language, so you have one foot in your cultural ethnicity. You can get along enough with the older aunties and uncles and grandparents. At the same time, you have one foot in this Canadian culture. Maybe you drink beer and watch hockey, right? Well, I listen to rap music and I watch NBA games, but you get what I'm saying. Your identity, such as it is, becomes hyphenated. You're an Indian American, you're an Egyptian Canadian. Your identity is not just one thing, and notably, the home country comes first, African American. That's who you are. That's how you present yourself. However, the first time you visit your home country with your parents, and you digest the full culture. You smell the smells, you hear all the noise, and you see the people, the way they talk and dress, all the way the culture flows. It's a revelation. Oh, that's why you people are like this. You instantly understand so much of your family and the dynamics. By time traveling to 1882, Sheriff Joy got to go back to the home country, her home country. And as much as she feels she is authentic and does her best to represent her culture and her people, her ancestors and her descendants, when she's finally home with her tribe, she can't get up on a horse. That's like the one basic requirement for being an Aboriginal. Like I said, it's a short but powerful moment, especially as children of immigrants. I can relate to this because it doesn't matter how much falafel you eat living in Toronto or in Canada. As soon as you go to Egypt, you don't fully belong, even though it's your home nation. You're like an undercover cop trying to break into the mafia. You're clearly a little off, like a time traveler. For more observations I spy with my little eye, check out My Pal Sammy, a weekly written companion to this popular podcast. You can go to Substack, My Pal Sammy, Google knows, mysummerlair.com/subscribe, mysummerlair.com/subscribe, and you can sign up today. Sign up right now. There's no reason not to sign up right now. Or join me. The talk of the falafel kind of made me hungry, and I'm going to go get one right now. Getting a falafel, this is something I know how to do. I couldn't get up on a horse either. So I was laughing because of the cultural implications, but I was also laughing because nature. I don't really spend a lot of time in the nature. Can't remember the last time I've even seen a horse or talked to a horse. Anyways, I've lost the thread again. Yeah, My Pal Sammy, a Substack newsletter. It's not as chaotic as his last tangent. Thank you for listening to me in a Netflix world. Time travel, yo.